Ella book launch. It is so lovely to see everyone here today, so thank you for coming. Has everyone got their Ella badges? If not, I've got some helpers up here at the back here, so put your hand up if you don't have your Ella badge yet, and Sam will help you out. And lucky door prize as well. If you haven't got a ticket for your lucky door prize, Ryan here, my other helper. So maybe put your hand really high if you don't have that. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nicole Godwin, so I'm the author of Ella. A big part of today will be book reading, so it's great to see all the kids on the ground here. What we're going to do first though, I'm going to just say a few words, let you know how the launch will run, and then I'm going to hand over for some introductions from my friend and writing mentor Tanya McCartney. Then I'll talk a little bit more, we'll read the book, talk a little bit more about the motivations for the book, and lots of thank yous. And then what we'll do is we'll draw the lucky door prize. The lucky door prize is a library bag and some Ella greeting cards. So we'll draw that at the end. Then what we'll do, that will be the first part of the launch. Then we'll go downstairs where I can sign any books. There's a signing table down there. We've got some colouring in for the kids and we can mingle. And also, unfortunately, we're not able to have catering and food as part of the launch, but we've got some cupcakes for the kids to take away. So we can do that before you leave. And I've got my three boys, Jaden, Ryan and Sam. If they'll have the cupcakes if you need anything and the colouring in so they can help you with all of that. I've also got people taking photos, particularly Scott, wherever Scott is, my official photographer Scott. So if anyone does not want photos of their kids or themselves on social media or on the Tusk Books website, please let myself know or Scott, just so that we, make sure that the photos that we are putting up, people are happy that we, do put up. The other thing that we're doing is we're going to do some videoing downstairs. Once again, if you don't want to do that, not an issue, but there's someone very special who's missing today and we want to put together a package for them, which is going to be a video, and that's Demelsa, who's the illustrator of Ella. So Demelsa lives in the UK, so we've done all of this production sort of via, emails and Skypes and, sort of messages. And she would love to have been here, but it is a bit far from England. But we're going to put together a video to send her so that she feels at least that she's part of the day. So you might have one of my three sons come up and ask you some questions. If you, what would you like to say about the illustrations, or do you have anything to say? You don't have to, but if you'd like to, then that would be great. So that will be in the foyer after as well. So before I hand over to Tanya, the one big thank you I wanted to do is to all the crowdfunding people. So some of you may know that this project started out, quite some time ago, but it was crowdfunded in order to get the printing sort of underway. So I can't thank everyone who supported the crowdfunding enough. It was so successful, and there was an outpouring of not just help and support financially, but just the love and the offers of help in so many ways. So thank you very much for all of your support. Unfortunately, we don't have the crowdfunding books here today. When a spot was available to launch the book here as part of the Canberra Writers Festival, I didn't want to pass it up, but it meant that I didn't have, I wasn't going to have all the books available. So I managed to get some advance copies that are available in the bookshop downstairs, but all of the crowdfunding, the big batch, is coming. It'll be next week or the week after. So I got a call last week saying that I'm having 3 pallet loads of books delivered, so I still have to work the logistics of that one out. So now, before I do the book reading and with those initial words, I'd love to hand over to Tanya McCartney. So Tanya is an author, an illustrator, a book reviewer. She's got a long list. She's the ambassador for the ACT Chief Minister's Reading Challenge. There's lots of titles and lots of wonderful things that Tanya does. But most of all, Tanya has been incredibly helpful and supportive throughout this whole project and has been with me through lots of the ups and downs. So, over to you. Make me cry. This isn't working. Is there someone here that takes care of that? No? No? Anyone high-tech want to give it a go? No? I'll yell. We're good. I just went to Book Week last week, so I'm used to yelling, trust me. It was fabulous, yelling in a good way. I'm absolutely delighted to be here to launch this book today.
Nicole has become a friend of mine. She's an amazing lady. When she first asked me to launch the book, the first thing I did was start Googling elephant facts. I wanted to wow you with all of these amazing statistics about what these elephants go through and where they are in terms of, their preservation. But then I thought, well, no one is better qualified to talk about that part of things than Nicole. So I thought I'd leave that up to her. And instead, I'd like to talk about Nicole. So, we first met, 2 years?
It must be getting on 2 years.
Yeah, I thought it might be over. You know how you think something was last week and it's actually 40 years ago? Childhood. I first met her about 2 years ago and she asked me about the self-publishing process, and she wanted to create this book about elephants and about the tourism trade. But not only that, she has the plan to create many books in a series on animals around the world who are specifically endangered or in trouble. And how could I say no? I had to get involved, and I must admit I've loved every single minute of it. We've met in cafes, we've chatted on the phone, we've Facebooked, we've drank lots of tea, and I've absolutely loved the process. I've mentored quite a lot of people, but I would have to say there's no one like Nicole. She is the most organised, thorough, meticulous, high on detail. It's absolutely no wonder that this mum has produced a trade quality picture book. Without doubt. I had a look at it downstairs before I came up. It's unbelievable. So working with her was an absolute and utter joy. I mean, this woman has even organised to be aligned with elephant sanctuaries in several places, which you could talk about. So just working with her was a real, real joy. She'd turn up at meetings with lists and everything carefully thought out, and she would absolutely blow me away. And as we all know, often the student can teach the teacher, and Nicole has taught me a lot, not only about elephants, but about perseverance, integrity, and her passion. She's just been a really moving experience. The other thing that she did which really, really impressed me was that she listened to a lot of my advice and took on a lot of my advice, but she also stayed true to her own vision. And there were times where she said, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do this. And I was like, no. We can talk like this now. But that impressed me, I had encouraged her not to do rhyme because rhyme is so, difficult to do, but she's done a beautiful job with it. And a few other things we had talked about, but she went her own way, and I think that we have to do that in life. We take a bit of advice and then do what works for us, and it's absolutely worked out beautifully, so I'm proud of you for doing that, for not listening to me sometimes. We're not always right. And of course, the result is a beautiful book. Now just, I know you guys want to hear the story, so I won't talk for too much longer, but just a note on the illustrator, Demelsa Horton. I started the 52-week illustration challenge at the beginning of 2014. If you haven't heard of it, just look it up on Facebook. And Demelsa was one of the challenge members. And she would post weekly magnificent imagery. And I remember when I was talking to Nicole about getting the exact, the perfect illustrator, I had suggested that she look on the challenge and find someone that resonated with her straight away. I think you had a handful. In the end, you had maybe 5 or 6, and we went through. But Demelsa was someone you just absolutely loved. So Demelsa ended up working with Nicole directly, and as you'll soon see, her illustrations are absolutely magical. The cover is just the beginning. There's no other time in human history than now that we need to tread lightly on this earth. And we need to care for our land, kids. We need to care for our plants, and we need to care for our animals more than ever before. And we also need to care for each other. And I think that, if anyone is treading lightly on this earth from the way she feels about animals and ecology and the way she eats and the way she thinks, there's few people that tread as lightly as Nicole Grodman. And it's an honour to know you. You have endlessly inspired me on this journey. I'm thrilled. There's nothing like a first book launch. It is like your wedding day. So congratulations on your incredible journey. I'm thrilled to be involved. You're going to love the story. Please buy 1 million copies because that's how us authors can write more. My biggest congratulations to you, Nicole. Love your work, and I formally now launch Ella.
Sorry, I got that.
I knew I'd do it.
Joke. I need to. Sorry.
Slideshow.
The slideshow, sorry.
From beginning.
Now we're right. Okay. So, Ella tells the story of a baby elephant used in tourism. So it is sad in lots of parts. But what Demelsa and I have tried to do is to create a story that you can walk in Ella's shoes and feel what she feels. So the one thing that I ideally hope is that everyone here will fall in love with Ella as much as I know that Demelsa and I and Tanya have. Ella is a very special elephant though. What I might do, I've got some balloons here. All the kids will get balloons at the end. So there's a few spare seats here if anyone wants a spot as well. There's one here if anyone needs one or would like one, rather than, Ella, as you can see here, has a heart on her tail. And when Ella is happy, her tail floats up high. When she is sad, her tail on the heart is really low. So, throughout the book, you'll see how Ella's feeling. But what I'd like to do is have 4 special volunteers who, throughout the book, can go up and down with how Ella's feeling. Lila, did you want to have a go? Yeah. Sorry, I know there's lots of hands and not enough, and we do some girls and some boys. We don't need any more boys with hands up. Sorry. Okay. So what we'll do? Do you want to stand over this side, girls? So you stand way over here. And you stand, do you want to come this side? Maybe, Joe, can you put these 2 over here if I stand over here? So now you come over, you go over here. Oh, just a little bit more. Oh no! We'll need one more.
Ella was very happy.
Hang on. Let me just get, I'm getting to the book. What we've got a big thank you to lots of the crowdfunding supporters who chose the option of getting their name in the book as well. So, first page. Ella's heart is broken and it aches more every day. Stolen from her mother, she was taken far away. So how does she feel now? That's right. Oh dear. She walks the streets at night time behind her human keeper. Get your photos now, he yells, by 10 and get them cheaper. She works at flashy weddings and she paints some modern art. But no one ever thinks about or cares for Ella's heart. Yeah, they're still low. Her one and true companion is a scrawny half-plucked hen. She sits up high on Ella's head and squawks at all the men. So how is she now? Maybe she's with her friend. It's nice to have friends around, isn't it? So maybe not really high. Where do we reckon? In the middle? About there. I think that's a really good spot. Ella's always hungry. Her belly moans in pain. There's not enough bananas, leaves or sugar cane. Oh dear. Okay, I think down a little bit. Ella works without complaint but has a secret quest. To find her dearest mother so her heart can finally rest. I know you're out there somewhere, she whispers every night. I feel you deep within my heart, you give me strength and light. She often dreams of running off to try and find her mum. She doesn't think she's brave enough, but hopes the day may come. She's not super sad when she thinks about her mum, though, is she? Maybe a little bit higher? What do we reckon? A little bit higher. And then, one night, it happens as a great storm gathers force. She sees her dearest mother, so she quickly changes course. Is that her mum over there? Is that the trunk sticking out? It might be. Mum, I'm here, she calls out to the trunk behind the wall. Instead, it's just a twisted branch. No mother there at all. Oh dear. Then she hears a trumpet call and heads towards the sound. She won't give up her secret quest until her mother's found. She charges down the dim-lit street, her ears flapping delight. She thinks she sees her mother, but she finds a different sight. Does that look like her mother? It must be this time. What do we think? Do you think it is? Maybe? Do you think it's another one? Let's see. An old and broken elephant is startled with surprise, but neither of them have to talk. They've read each other's eyes. No, I think she's a bit sad now. She roams around the gloomy streets and finds the saddest sight, a little herd of elephants chained up for the night. They all look like little Ella, don't they?
Yeah.
Where are you, Mum? She yells, but there's silence all around. There's only pain and heartache and no mother to be found. Oh dear, still no Mum. And her little chicken friend is with her all the time. The storm is now upon her and the rain is in her eyes, but Ella stumbles forward in the hope to find her prize. For just a tiny moment, the lightning shows the way. She knows it is her mother. There is no time to delay. This must be her mum, is it? Big shadow. Looks like a mum shadow. Okay, let's see. I'm coming, Mum, she calls again and runs with all her might, ignoring loud and zooming cars while swallowing her fright. With just a few more steps to go, she hears a screeching sound. Then she feels the impact and comes crashing to the ground. We can't get sadder than that, can we? We need those balloons right down low. A massive figure looms above. I know it's you, she cries, but something's really not quite right, and tears form in her eyes. It's just a mighty statue, not a living, breathing mum. Poor Ella's heart is broken and her body's cold and numb. We need to leave those balloons really low. A single teardrop tumbles down from sadness more than pain. She knows her journey's over and her heart breaks once again. She's dragged upon a sturdy track with ropes that pinch and squeeze. I'm sorry, Mum, I tried my best, she whispers in the breeze. Now, where is she going? Can you see over mountains, up and down and around? Where is she off to? Look at that, I love this bridge, over the rickety bridge and down and around. The truck comes to a screeching stop, but Ella doesn't care. Her tail, her trunk, her head, her heart are filled with deep despair. I think the balloons are still low, aren't they? But then, a small vibration, a tremor far away, a distant growing rumble like there's something on its way. What can we see up there? Is it, do you think it is this time?
Yes.
Oh, the trees around her sway and shake, and then a huge surprise. Her heart is pounding hard and fast, and tears flow from her eyes. Is this where we wait and see, and that long pause? Then we slowly go to the next page. It is. Her mother stands before her. I think she's super happy now, and trumpets loud and strong. Her trunk entwines with Ella's, and their hearts are filled with song. Look at Ella. She's so happy. She's being lifted off the ground. Then it changes a bit. Ella's still talking, but she wants to tell you about some elephant facts. Now, I'm not going to read all of them today, but I might pick just a few of them out. And when you have your copy of the book, you can read it right through. But Ella says that she's one of the luckiest elephants in the world, and she now lives with her mum in a sanctuary where she's safe and has a jungle full of food. But sadly, many of her relatives around the world aren't so lucky. So Ella talks about different types of elephants. There are Asian elephants that have the smaller ears, and African elephants have big ears and generally much bigger. And they both have different issues, but they do face, problems in the world today. Elephants, their families are very important to them. They live in herds and look out for each other. And girl elephants stay with their mothers their whole lives, while boys usually stay until they're teenagers. In the world today, though, they face some big problems, and I'm going to talk about some of these issues later when I talk about my motivations for writing the book. But just some stats here that I find incredibly sad are that there are roughly 30,000 elephants left in Asia and 500,000 in Africa. But what is happening is that we're killing more than 30,000 elephants in Africa every year, mostly for their tusks, also for bushmeat, and also just due to their habitat being decreased. So if those figures keep happening in our lifetime, there won't be any African elephants around. And Asian elephants have other issues, which I'll talk about a bit later. And the other things, there's other issues in Asia, like babies are captured for zoos and circuses, but all they want is their mum, just like little Ella. So that is the book reading. And thank you so much to my helpers. You can hold those now, but if I can get you guys to hold those in your laps so that everyone in the back can still see, that would be great. Thank you. I need that.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Lots of balloons later for all of the kids. Okay, so I wanted to have a chat, some thank yous, and then a bit of talk about, as I mentioned, why I wrote Ella before we draw the prize. Don't let me forget to do that. So the few thank yous, I've already started thanking Tanya, but honestly, Tanya has been there on the end of emails where I have another panic about something, and then there are different aspects of this book that I've changed my mind with and flip-flopped several times, and Tanya's advice has mostly been to go with my gut, which has served me well, so thank you. But just all of the discussions and all of the time that you have given so generously, I really, really appreciate it, so thank you very much. There are so many friends who have been with me on this journey, and I can't possibly mention everyone. So thank you so much. Look, I know, there are people that literally as soon as the crowdfunding site went up, I think Jean, where are you, Jean? It was within minutes. It was like Jean was there. She was, supporting and helping. So, and there are people like Jenny Childs, wherever you are. I think you told everyone you possibly know and meet in the street about the book. So thank you. So who else? I don't want to miss anyone that I've just jotted down here. Very generous people who have sort of offered their services. Marianne was here before, but she's in the choir when Bob Brown is speaking next, so she had to leave. So Marianne is another person who said, do you want another editor to have a look over? So, Marianne had a look over things. So there are people who are just offering help and support left, right and centre, and it's just been, absolutely heartwarming, part of this process, so thank you. Also Kim Millett, who was my graphic designer, who lives in Ottawa. So once again, I don't like doing things easy and getting everyone local. So there's a lot of different time zones that we're working with, but it all worked out in the end. There are also people who have helped me get a link into some of the schools that I'm doing school visits. I did my first visit at the Narrabundah Early Childhood School yesterday, thanks to Felicity, where are you? Felicity Ma, up there. And I've got my sister-in-laws, sort of Angela Hauser and Tracy Wiseman, who I'm sort of now in, their schools, sort of doing visits as well. And this is what it's all about. It's this word of mouth and people seeing something that they think is good and they want the kids to start learning about, and they've really gone out of their way and helped with that. So thank you all. My boys, especially this weekend, Jaden, Ryan and Sam with balloons and cupcakes and videoing, so thank you. I appreciate all of that. And they're going to be, if you need anything after and today, they'll help with that as well. And someone who I want to do a huge thank you to is my husband Michael, who isn't here today. He's been in bed for 2 days. He literally cannot get out of bed. So he's devastated that he could not be here. But if he came here, everyone would walk out with a horrible flu as well. So, but what I want to say to him is that there's not once that when, he knew that I had to spend the whole weekend, doing more Ella jobs or writing or organising things,
It's never an issue, and he's always done whatever he can to give me that time to make that happen. And when I have to spend more money on whatever it might be, banners or festival fees, it's just not even blinking. So that has made it very easy at home to actually do what I need to do, and to, you know, without the guilt. I've got enough of that guilt myself without someone else, you know, adding to that. So, lots of thank yous, but now why Ella? So, look, as many of you who do know me, I'm very much into animal rights, and I'm a writer. Those two things had to collide at some stage, and I'd been toying with the idea of writing some books, but when I visited Elephant Nature Park, which is an elephant sanctuary in Thailand, a few years ago, that really crystallised for me that the first book had to be a picture book and about elephants, because the elephants there, just their stories, were just horrible and heart-wrenching. So it's a sanctuary where you've got a lot of disabled and maimed elephants, all through things that humans had done to them. You know, there are elephants that had been blinded deliberately by people. There are elephants who had stood on landmines. There were elephants who'd had their backs broken for horrible, you know, there's just, it was horror. But what you could see was these people who had taken it on as their life mission to actually build a sanctuary and continue to get more elephants, you know, to save. So for me, I wanted to be part of telling that story as my first book. Then as part of the journey started, I started writing the story of Ella. Jaden, my son, and I went to volunteer in Boon Lot's Elephant Sanctuary in Thailand. So we spent some time there, and it was great talking to the founder of that sanctuary and learning more about elephants in the world today and the plight, you know, of the elephants. And that's where I've started developing some relationships that now, for every copy of the book sold, on the back it says that there's $1 that goes to different sanctuaries or elephant causes. So there's 2 sanctuaries. There's one in Cambodia, there's the one that Jaden and I volunteered at, and also an organisation called World Elephant Day, run by the World Elephant Society. What they do is every year they have a day, which is the 12th of August that has just passed, but it's a day for really making sure that you know, you stop and can think about and get some information on what's happening to elephants in the world today. So the colouring in sheets that you can take away with your later kids are actually World Elephant Day ones, so if you'd like to do that. And then that 12th of August next year can be on your radar. You might want to do something at school or just at home and just learn a bit more about elephants. So anyway, volunteering again helped me learn more, and the things that I guess the issues facing elephants in the world today are, one, ivory poaching. It is a huge issue, and with the figures that I read out before, we're talking about you know, elephants being gone in our lifetime in Africa because of the numbers that are declining. We're also talking about habitat loss as you know, more and more parts of the world are urbanised, but then we're also talking about captivity and animal cruelty, and that's more, you know, in Asia. So I guess in Asia what we're talking about is things with animals used in tourism, and that's just like little Ella. So that's why I chose to start that, because I've been to Asia and had some experience with that. I'm just going to check my notes to see if I forgot anything there. So I guess for me the purpose is that I'm one voice in many who's trying to raise awareness of these issues. There are companies like, travel companies like STA Travel and Intrepid Travel. They no longer sell any tours that involve elephant rides, which is wonderful. So you've got people coming from different angles. I'm talking to children, they're looking at it through, you know, travellers. You've got airlines who now won't transport ivory. So all of these things together, and me talking to you here and reading books to kids, I'm hoping that by having this information, when you have a decision that has anything to do with elephants, you can think more and be informed and then make that decision. I have no doubt that anyone in this room would ever buy ivory, but you might be fortunate enough to travel to Asia at some point in time, and that's when you can have an experience with an elephant that is good for the elephant or harmful. And there's more sanctuaries now that are doing good for the elephants, and I can tell you it is a much more rewarding experience than, you know, sort of hopping on an elephant's back and, you know, sort of riding it for 10 minutes or whatever it might be. The issues in tourism, very much, there's even resorts that have like baby elephants as, you know, sort of something that they think people will want to, you know, see, therefore they'll go to that resort. And the sad part is that, well, yes, they're gorgeous, But for that baby elephant to be there, they've been taken from its mum and its family. And elephants are incredibly social animals who are very family oriented. So even the part of their brain that deals with family connection, many say is even more complex than a human's part of the brain, that thinks, in that way. It's so what we're doing is they're even being bred now, babies, just to be used for tourism and taken away from their families. So if you ever encounter, a baby elephant and it's not with its mum, there's a lot of, sadness, behind that. That's why Ella wanted to find her mum and was desperate to get back to her mum. So, and if Jean doesn't mind me, I might just recount, I was not sure if I would recount this story. Who's Jean Walker? She doesn't want to be. Do you mind if I tell your Elephant Nature Park story with the ball? It is, it's a really nice... Yeah, so if I get it a little bit wrong, you can correct me. But just to get an idea of just the social structure of these animals. So Jean volunteered at Elephant Nature Park, and there was a little cheeky elephant. What was its name? Naughty Boy. Here's a naughty boy playing with a ball, soccer ball, and the ball popped. And the naughty boy got very scared and, because it was such a noise and was terrified. Straight away, the elephants rushed to naughty boy, surrounded him, soothed him, calmed him, and it just shows that straight away they had to make sure everything was okay. That in itself I find amazing. But then one of the elephants went and picked up the ball and deliberately went in, so everyone could see, smash the ball. So whether it was symbolic or just showing naughty boy that it's not going to hurt you anymore with that noise, but it was just a lovely story that since Jean told me, it's just stayed with me, and it just shows that little glimpse about how they look after each other and protect each other. Even though that elephant was okay, but in situations where they're not okay, they're there and they stick, with each other. And we can't even fathom those bonds and that thinking. Okay, I think we're nearly there. So what I'd like to do is now we'll do the lucky door prize. Tickets. Oh, it's all ready. Does anyone not have a lucky ticket? Lucky door prize? Yeah, would you like one? You can get one. And then we'll put those in. Are these ones in there? Oh, I can't put them there.
Have you got one?
And I'll mix them up. And you didn't get to the blue.
Right.
Would you like to draw this?
I've got one.
Okay, I can give it. Oh, hang on, you hold it, because you might, if I call out your number, you've got to say me.
No, leave it. That's fine.
This is, you hold that one, and that's yours. Would you like to read that number out very loud?
89B.
89B? No, 89B? Yes, that's good. There you go. That's all right. My pleasure.
Just somewhere to put my book.
That's right, you did. So what's happening sort of now is that I'll go downstairs. There's a signing table literally just down here. So if you'd like your book signed, I've been practicing my signature. I can do that. So we'll also have my boys, they'll have colouring in if you'd like to find a spot and do that. Adults are welcome to as well, but the kids. And the boys will hand out balloons as we're leaving. So I'll duck down there and there can be a flurry of activities. Yeah. Oh, cupcakes, yes. And the cupcakes, before we leave, we can't have the cupcakes here, but to take away for the kids, we've got all the cupcakes, so we'll have those as well. So thank you so much everyone for coming. It is so lovely to see all of you here, and I appreciate you all coming, so thank you.